Today, I am just touching on the very basics of verbs, the things that you should know in general whenever you're learning any new language, because verbs can go very wide and very complex to pretty narrow and pretty simple. Again, today is just the wave tops. Take this with perhaps a grain of salt based on your target language. The first thing that you should know about verbs is all that they are actions. And these actions happen in 3 different times: the past, the present, and the future. Some languages are as simple as that, even a little more simple, honestly, in my opinion. Some of the most common languages, unfortunately, like Spanish and French, and yes, English, for example, give you types of past and types of future, and yes, even types of present. In those 3 different manners, past, present, and future, that comes down to tense. That is the typical way that I would say you should expect for verbs to change, for you to learn verbs in your target languages, to learn the different tenses in which verbs appear. When you're changing verbs at all, you're doing something called conjugating. All conjugation means is how verbs change to express who is doing them, and the tense will tell you when it is happening, if it's in the past tense, the future tense, or the present tense. Aspect is another thing that you might see. Take, for example, in Mandarin, it is I think it's called an aspective language, where it's not so much, you don't change verbs at all for tense in Mandarin. For example, you also don't conjugate verbs. They don't change, they just are. In an aspective language like Chinese, you will use different markers in the sentence to denote the time in which the action was done. I hope that makes sense. Again, this is wave tops. I can go leave a question in the comments if you have it. I'll answer it there, and I can make more videos, of course. But anyway, moving on. You also have 3 different moods of verbs. Again, I'm sure you can see by now how verbs can be very complex. Not every language is going to have all of these things. These are just things that I want you to be generally aware of because they might apply in your target language, but even still, don't think you need to learn all of them at once. The 3 moods that you should be concerned with are the indicative mood, which is just matter-of-fact action; subjunctive mood, which is expressing doubts and wishes; and then the conditional mood, which is expressing possibilities and chances. Some of them, like in English, are very simple. Verbs don't really change a whole lot in English, whereas in Spanish and French, you can have completely different endings and whole different formations of verbs because you're speaking in the subjunctive or the conditional. I'm picking on Spanish and French because I'm familiar with them. These things certainly apply in other languages. So again, take it with a grain of salt. A more simple concept that you should be familiar with is regular versus irregular verbs. Regular verbs, they follow a standard pattern. So take, for example, in Spanish, you have AR, you have verbs that end in AR, ER, and IR. Those are the 3 air quote types of verbs that you're told that you have in Spanish. If you take a present tense, if you take a verb and put it in the present tense, you will find that there are, for many verbs, standard regular endings. They change in a predictable manner, so it simplifies how verbs change where these things apply. Irregular verbs are exactly that. They're irregular. They kind of throw the pattern, the normal pattern, and throw it out the window. Sometimes they are completely irregular, whereas like Arabic, for example, they're irregulars for plurals, totally irregular. I've seen no rhyme or reason to it, no rhythm at all. So some languages, very few, good freaking luck. Others, there are even patterns within the irregulars. So look out for those if it applies to you. The very last thing in this long bit of language essentials, you should learn the infinitive form of your verb, which is just like, for example, I run, he runs. That's how the verb changes. The infinitive is the standard base form, to run. So to run is that base infinitive form, and every type of conjugation, every type of aspect that can be applied to it is, how it's conjugated. It's all derived from that infinitive form. Reflexive verbs, they appear differently in other languages than English, certainly. Pretty simple in English. It's just whenever an action is being done to the object that is saying it. So if I brush my teeth, brush is the reflexive verb because I am brushing something of myself. You can brush your teeth. In that case, it is reflexive to you. I hope that makes sense. Again, comment if it doesn't. And the very last thing in this section and this video as a whole, separable verbs. Some of them are called phrasal verbs. Other times it's just you have bits that can be taken off and placed elsewhere to make it make sense. Take, for example, to take something off, to take off, separable verb. You need both pieces to convey the meaning that you intend, and you take off your jacket. The plane takes off. So again, I hope that makes sense. I hope this all made sense. As I've been yammering on, please let me know in the comments if it does not, because trust me, you are not alone if not all of this makes sense. I get confused plenty, and I'm on my 7th dang language, so please do not feel ashamed or scared or anything. It's okay. You're not alone. Like this if you liked it. Please subscribe and follow if you like things like this. And let me know what I missed. Let me know what I could have done better, and I'll see you in the next one.